Ugh. Is it on? Glorious. Do, 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 do. Paintingu, paintingu. Paintingu, goo, 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo. It's painting goo. Painting goo goo. What do we go? Nobody knew. I missed it. I'm texting. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Oh. Texting while singing. Painting goo goo goo. Goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. Painting goo. It's painting goo. Painting goo goo. What do we do? Nobody knew. Got it that time. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo goo. Painting goo goo goo. Goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. Painting goo. What will we goo? Nobody knew. What do we goo? On painting goo. Goo goo goo. Goo 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 goo. My favorite part of the song. Hands down my favorite part of the song. Goo 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 goo. I don't know why, but that particular series of goos, in the whatever way I say it, the cadence, the way it goes, it just makes me laugh. It makes me rough! And therefore I love it. Painting goo. What I do not love is my fucking hair being at that really awkward length where it gets in my way, but I can't tie it up. It's mad annoying. Pray that beautiful piano music, you petrified primate. I haven't called him that in a while, have I? I feel like I haven't said the words petrified primate in a few episodes. Right, you know the drill. Pay the monkey so he doesn't go hungry. Pay that petrified primate. Or his dinner will be late. I'm probably going to be in one of my more lethargic states on this episode. Despite the amount of caffeine I've consumed, I had an excellent stretching session earlier. A solid hour or so of doing a deep mabu. And fuck me, my back felt so good for a brief period of time. And now I'm going to be sitting down on a stool for 2 hours. Painting shit at an awkward angle. The joys of life. Please excuse me whilst I descend into proper painting posture. Oh! Oh, that was smooth as fuck. That was smooth as fuck. That felt nice. My shoulders. It's not even my shoulders, it's more like my traps. Years of tension. Years of me just like on the inside being like Hulk Hogan, like just like just in a constant state of wanting to rip something apart physically and not being arsed to do it. Right. Looks like it's just you and me again, bro. I said it. I don't care if it's just me and Desmondu. I will go. As I put my royal rag on my demi-divine knee in preparation for said goo. Today is Tribal Thursday. I have much to do today. I'm supposed to be talking to Stuntman Bear later on and hanging with bears, but Owen's going to be debating squirts around that time. And to be quite honest, it's one of those moments where, like, you know, like I could relate to Vox, where I'm like, please cancel so I can lie down and sleep. And it's not that I don't want to talk to the nigga. I love him, like, do you know what I mean? I love Stuntman Bear. I love chatting with him. You know. A photo of him wearing my kimono and headband with the fan is fucking hilarious. Such a laugh when they came over for my birthday. Bunch of legends. But it's just like, I fucking, even with, like, you know, staying up late playing video games and stuff like that, like, I try not to even do it on the weekends now. I do it, you know, I still do it, but there's like, it's even with smoking or whatever, like, you know, it's like that voice in your head that's like, dude, it is time to grow up. And I'm not saying that you can't, like, you know, what would be the term? Organize time in your day for luxuries and things that, like, you know, bring you joy or like relax you or whatever, like, you know, escapism and all that jazz. Like, of course you can. But I'm in a stage in my life now where I'm trying to, like, you know, make headway and build something and stay motivated and do it every day, even on the weekends sometimes. You know, I don't run on the same clock as most people. Most people have a job. I have a self-imposed job. That's what being self-employed is. It's like you have a self-imposed sense of responsibility, duty, so on and so forth. Like, there's no fear of, like, you know, getting fired. You know, but there's also no security of, like, oh well, at least I'm going to get paid at the end of the month. You know, so there's benefits. There's also like huge glaring cons, you know, that like really stress you out and slow you down depending on what you're trying to do at the time. Like, it's interesting trying to remain stoic and calm in situations where, like, you're totally rationally justified in crashing out or having an emotional meltdown because, like, the bullshit that you're dealing with or some shit, like, you know. But I think that's, like, my appreciation for excellent humor and, like, obscenely funny, like, really high level comedy, I think is only achieved where like you get to those kind of like monk states of mind where like no matter what happens, you're just like, huh, well that just happened. Like, and I think it's hilarious where like people like that, you be in a situation like that, and people will start freaking out at you because they're like, how can you not be like distraught right now? You know, given what just happened, and you're just like, it's Wednesday tomorrow. I've shit to do. That's why I can imagine most farmers were like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or even still like that. Like, where it's like all of these worldly things, all of these like narratives, all of these, again, self-imposed quite a lot of the time, stresses. It's very ironic. You look at like the woke movement, or like just like a lot of leftists these days, I suppose is what we call them. It's just like, but like obviously there's be people like that on the right too. It's not a political thing, it's a personality thing and an energy thing and a spiritual thing and a consciousness thing. But these people who are just like weak and like stupid and deceitful, like people who indulge in the victim mentality. Like, I know that it can be people who are like in a victim mentality state, but they don't even know it. You know, I probably would have classed myself as like that, but like that's just like you're ignorant, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But that's why it's the whole like once you know, once you overcome your ignorance, it's like, oh, now the real game begins, where like you have to actually like take action and do things and stuff like that, like, which obviously like makes complete sense, you know, but can be quite like daunting depending on the subject matter, you know. Delving into the shadow realm and learning about philosophy and the inner workings of the consciousness of man and all this shit, and like history and different expressions of like the struggle of what it is to be, like existence itself, and like what should be, and who has the authority, or like should have the authority at all, if they should, why should they have the authority to impose their will upon others, and all this stuff. Like, empires rise and fall of all these different like ideological ways of like, we should live this way and do these things, you know. I think that's why like true multiculturalism is where everybody is like apart from each other, separated by boundaries, and homogenous. You know, the Italians are over here, the French are over here, Germans are over here. We should all be living in the place that suits us on like a genetic level and a cultural level. And this whole like mixing and blending is taking the beautiful palette that the divine entity threw together in a matter of days, allegedly, or whatever, you know. Sung, all of us used song and sound to like bring matter into shape. Allah loves wondrous variety. I always loved that line from Prince of Thieves, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, with Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman. Allah loves wondrous variety. I do too. I love being able to like look out and see all the different shit. Even in my garden, never mind the world at large. I go to my garden, I'm just like, that's a nice tree. That's a nice, like, what the fuck is that? The amount of shit in my garden, I have no clue what it is. Just looking at these plants. What is that? What does it do? What kind of medicinal properties does it have? Can I eat it? Can I fuck it? I don't think that. But like, on average, that's I seen that there the other day. Abba and Preach. I don't know if you've ever watched Abba and Preach on YouTube. I like them. I think they're funny. But like the Hodge twins or something. But Preach said something like that. Where it's like, and it's very true. It's like every time there's like a new thing or a new technology introduced into the populace, like quite often it is just expressed in that sense. It was like, can we eat it? Can we kill it? Can we fuck it? It's so true. Like,
Like that's what civilization is the struggle to not be our base version of ourselves. I know you can like, and that's what's fucking hilarious, like about all this like philosophical debate and stuff, because it's like who says who, like, do you know what I mean? Should we just be very like primal and like should we be instinctual? Should we like is that because like that's a very similar thing to the whole like surrender to God's will, you know, succumb to the will of God. It's like, well, what is that? How do you know what that is? What if succumbing to the will of God, you could argue, is succumbing to your base desires? Like, that's probably where Satanism comes from or some shit. I don't know. Like, I'd say there's a lot of, like, Hindu stuff that says that as well. Like, with the whole, like, eat the brains is good. You know, like, some of the shit I've seen from them. Like, they, like, cover themselves in the ashes of other people's bones and, like, eat shit and brains and stuff and all. Like, it's like, okay, you know, whatever works for you. Like, just keep it the fuck away from me. I think it's hilarious how like the more you learn about like the realities of like human existence, whatever about existence, like as like an expansive concept, you know, like humans and everything else, but just like us and the way we live and the way we have lived allegedly or whatever, like, do you know what I mean? As far as like our caretakers have like deemed necessary for us to know or whatever, like it's this like realization that like one argument is like, oh, the empire is so oppressive and these patriarch, oh, down with the patriarchy, it's so like dictatorships and fascism and, you know, people trying to put their boot on my neck and tell me what to do and like when to do it and all this fucking shit, like, you know what I mean? And like initially the argument, like you hear it and you're like, yeah, I mean, fuck other people telling you, you know, what to do, like, you know, trying to force you to do things. If somebody tried to point a gun at my head and be like, eat that shit or die, like, fuck you, like, is it not the noble thing to do to like hold to your principles and shit like that, like, you know? Which is why I think it's funny where it's like you learn about all this stuff and you're like, man, the Romans like fucking killed it. Like the Brits really had it going. Like, Jimmy, like everything matched. Look at the colors and the uniformity and the fucking symmetry and the regality and the, like, you know. And I get the whole like, you know, why do you have golden plates? You know, why have you forsaken, you know, natural stuff and pragmatism and what needs to be in terms of like, why have you like in a sense forsaken honor for like opulence and an attempt at replicating the divine from your point of view? I mean, because who says that gods would eat off golden plates? It's like, why? And maybe there's a perfectly rational explanation for it. It's like, oh, the gold, it resonates, like frequency, all that shit. There's like something kind of magnetically harmoniously working with the fucking metal or some shit or whatever. Like if you eat off gold, it like makes the food better. I don't fucking know. That's what I think is funny about being alive right now. Is like for most of our existence, it's like, well, what did the elders say? Don't eat the red frog. Okay, I won't eat the red frog then. Simple. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's what most of our like handed down knowledge was for like most of our existence. It's like, yeah, stay away from the thin wriggly thing that hisses. It'll bite you, and we won't be able to do shit about it. You'll probably die. You know. I've always been fascinated by how the fuck they figure out. It's like, oh, if I chew up this plant and put it on the snake bite, it's gonna dry out the poison and all this stuff, like, or whatever. And I don't know if that shit is true. I mean, why do we have anti-venom if you can just like do like the whole herbal medicine stuff? Is it just like practicality? Is it just like corruption and money? I don't fucking know. Because both things are true and both things are false, like all the time, you know. I think it's so funny that you have all these like truther grifters, which is essentially what they are, like, where it's like, I'm telling you, man, my fucking methylene blue. It's like, it has the word meth in it. Like That just like for me is like a bit of a red flag. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a reason why the Nazis like were big into meth. It's like, oh, sehr gut, yeah. like, but like I completely agree with Owen with the whole like biological usury thing, and all I do is like smoke and drink coffee. Like, but like I fucking get it, man. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like I need more energy. I'll drink this. I need to relax. I'll smoke that. And it's like so much more beneficial, but grueling and painful. Especially if you're like someone like me who has like, legitimate like a bulging disc or whatever in the center of my spine and like, atrophied muscles or whatever like that. Like, but like intense physical exercise, like, and I mean like martial arts style stuff, the stuff that like molds the body into like a aesthetic, not just aesthetically pleasing frame, but a healthy frame. The blood flow is like steady and, you know, there's like it's not too fast, it's not too slow. Because like, you could like, isn't that what high blood pressure is where like the blood is like moving too quickly through certain areas of your body, which can like erode the walls of your veins or something. Which makes sense to me. I don't know if that's the truth, but like, it's like a river raging through a canyon. Like, do you know what I mean? I mean, you would think that like years after years after years after years, like the rocks do move and the fucking like friction's a thing. Makes sense. But then you hear all the other stuff where it's like, oh no, it's a dead giant, and it's just like fucking. A lot of that stuff makes complete sense too. Like, I totally think there were like fucking massive trees that like somebody came in and was like, yeah, we should get rid of those, because that's where the enemy lives. like it's like I was saying, it's like two things are true and two things are false. It's like I look more and more at like the Nazis and like the Roman Empire and the British Empire, and I'm Irish, like, do you know what I mean? And our history is like for 700 years, like we're basically we really are the niggers of Europe, What's the crack, Stabro? We're the niggers of Europe, like, do you know what I mean? It's like we was kings. We literally did have a load of different kings. We had the Irish kings, Ireland is broken into 4 main quadrants, regions: Ulster, Leinster, Munster, and Connacht. It's essentially north, south, and east, west of the whole island. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just broken up into regions, and then within those regions, there's like sub-regions called counties. It's very similar to the whole Japan thing. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like probably what they do on most islands. I mean, England's the same. Like, do you know what I mean? At least as far as I'm aware, it is. It's just like a logical way to break things down in terms of boundaries and regions and stuff. And it all makes sense because back then you had like a lot of different tribes and kings, and some of them got along, some of them didn't. Like sometimes they show up to like play a game for like honorable reasons. Some people get hurt and shit like that. Sometimes fucking try and kill each other over some disputes of women or property or food or some shit. Like, who cares? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, just makes sense, But in that, you have the whole, like, okay, well, these things seem like, enlightened and noble and of good intent and beautiful and true and all these things, like honor and lineage and legacy and lessons from your elders and, like, keeping the children safe and educating them and, like, making them strong and fit and all this shit. Like, and then you have all the other stuff, which basically just sounds like a load of fucking bitching and moaning and whining and feminine shit, like, oh, we should all share and it needs to be equal and stuff like that. But then you get to the whole thing of like, well, a fair game is a game that works, People don't like playing a game that's rigged unless they're getting some kind of benefit, like, That's where you get the whole corruption thing. So there definitely is, like, some of these communistic, like, Marxist, leftist, whatever you want to call them, liberal, like, I don't fucking know, like, I'll just lump it into the same, like, but it's not though, It's like, there's just so many different perspectives of, like, we ought to do this way. Life should be X. And it's like, says who? Who are you? What do you know? What have you done? Where have you been? Who have you spoken to? you know. And I don't know about you, but when somebody says they've spoken to a burning bush, you know, like, or just like, you know what I mean? It's like that's always the case. At least now, maybe it wasn't in history, like I was saying, because it's like back at some point it would have been like, who told you this knowledge? And I'd be like, the dude on the mountain, and you'd be like, oh, and you'd go and see the dude on the mountain, and he'd explain it all in front of you and draw it all out on a cave wall or in the sand with a stick or something. And explain these things to you in very simple terms by like showing you a cup and water or like all these different things. Like, you know, it's like these like age old truisms that are just like profoundly useful to like open up your what I like you could call it your third eye, you know, but like it's like what is your third eye? It's like the mind's eye. Is like your capacity to be like, close your eyes. Can you see a cube? Is it pink? Can you unfold it? Now fold it back up. Now make it red. Turn it into an elephant. Turn it upside down. Kill the elephant with a giant axe. Like, you know, I could see all that in my mind, like a cartoon is playing. I can see cartoons in my head. You know? They're not like what I would consider like a one for one replica of like actually opening your eyes and looking at something. Hell no. Like it's more like a vague screenshots that if I really focus I can make like, you know, a higher resolution. I can take a screenshot and like think about it and really try and formulate it in my head and shit. And apparently a lot of people can't do that. So it's like, is that something you can teach? I don't know. That kind of does get dark when you're talking about like different breeds of humans and different capacities of human capability of even just like understanding what existence is itself. Like what is being alive. When you look at your own hand, you're like, what am I? You know, like on like a profound, like, you know, existential level or some shit. Like, and like most people don't give a flying fuck. You know, like most people are just like bills, 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 work, work, fuck, eat, bills, Netflix, fucking, like, you know, like nobody sits down anymore and like has a cup of tea and is like, so what do you think is like happening right now? Like, that's why I love when Owen talks to Gardner. Gardner has that energy. I could sit and talk to Gardner for fucking hours. Now, whether he could sit and talk to me for hours is a completely different thing. Because, like, I can imagine, like, people that I would find, like, fascinating would, like, find me boring. Because, like, they're basically just giving me a load of stuff they know. And, like, I probably wouldn't. It's one of the reasons I've never thought it necessary or even like tempting to try and contact Owen on a personal level, because I'm like, what the fuck am I going to talk to him about? You know, master piano, master comedy. Like, I don't even play any instruments. I don't know fuck all about music, which is one of the reasons when I have the money I would like to like get like an electric keyboard or something, start trying to learn that shit. Like the gravy and that stuff is like piping hot. But like I always thought, like, what the fuck would I say to him? Apart from like, I love what you're doing, thanks. But sure, I said that anyway, like, you know, send him money, send him a letter, do the niggle board, which wasn't even my idea, you know. Bravey Bear was like, oh, you should do that, like, and I'm like, done, you know. Which is why I completely understand that whole mentality of like, you know, it's like, just do stuff. Don't worry about getting paid for it. Don't do something for money. Do something because it's the right thing to do. Because it's good to make stuff. It's good to make stuff. It's good to do stuff. Well, one of the things that like I'm fascinated with and that like I want to do all the time is like talk about stuff like this to people for like long periods of time, like hours, like, do you know what I mean? Where like other people be like, oh, I'm bored. I would just like switch from subject to subject to subject to subject depending on what, because you can connect everything to everything because everything is connected. That's what I find fundamentally fascinating about like existence itself. Is like no matter what like avenue you take, all roads lead to the same place. Like genuinely they do, as far as I can tell anyway, which makes total sense. They all lead to they're all embodied by this. It's all the same thing. Painting, music, writing, martial arts. All the art, like, you know, like, that's what I think is funny. It's like martial arts and then art, and like, that's what it is, you know. say what you want about Conor McGregor, but was some of his lines that he said when he was like on his run in the UFC were fucking brilliant. He said he was going to go in and paint a beautiful picture. I can't remember who he fought when he said that. I think it was Cerrone, and he did. He fucking annihilated him in like the first round. He was like, the octagon is my canvas, and I'm gonna paint a beautiful painting or some shit. He said, and I was like, that's like, it's an excellent way of putting it, because like when you look at it like holistically, that's what it is. Like, and isn't that what holistic means? Is like you look at the whole thing. You have like at least a fundamental understanding of how everything fits together and like plays off each other, like a dome, like the thing that Chris Gardner is making and all, where everything leans on the next thing in such a way that like, and you can do that with people. Do you ever see those like group therapy fucking things that you can do with like, you know, 4 or 5 people or whatever, or 10 people? Like you get everybody to sit kind of like in the fucking swastika formation, where there's like, it's like 4 corners and you're all like sitting on each other, and then you can like walk around like a weird biological crab made of 4 people. Like, but because of how energy works and like, you know, buoyancy and fucking like, you know, you could say gravity or whatever, like to me it's like that's just how physics works. For force, energy, application of weight, and like distribution of weight and all these things, like you can construct these things that like there's a lot of that in Irish, like well, not just Irish obviously, but like because I'm Irish I know that like we have a lot of that. Like the Celtic knots is just like one thing that's just like woven in a certain way, and like, you know, there's like this like esoteric knowledge like right there in front of you that like that's, it's almost like trying to tell you on a really, really, really quick, simple level of like everything is one thing manipulated into different forms and then positioned in certain ways depending on the context or the force applied or whatever. Like, because you could like, don't we have a word for that, like matter. You know, like whether it's like a cup or a bit of wood or a rag or like whatever it is, whatever thing is in front of you, you know, like literally everything is made of matter. And like I think that's hilarious because that's one of those one wordplay things that's like, well, what does it matter? Oh, that doesn't matter. So it's not relevant. It's not necessary. It has no value. Like it is, you know, not, it's not suitable or something. Like to me it's like that doesn't matter, but like at the same time matter is like what everything is made of. So like it kind of does make sense in a linguistic way of like, oh, that doesn't matter, is like it's not real, it doesn't have any value, it may as well not be there or like whatever. Like, but it's an interesting thing, like, you know, the whole like prophet and prophet. It's like Jesus is a prophet, but then prophet with money, and it's like, oh well, don't make money or God and all this shit, and it looks like we have. So you just have all this shit that's like Vox would say, it's like totally inverted, like the inversion, the perversion, like, you know. And it makes sense because like when we got brought up, it was all like fear the church or love the church is right because of these reasons, in God, and if you believe in God, oh, but people believe in God, but we don't know if, you can't prove if God is real, and so people start believing in science. And then you discover that it's just like, oh, okay, so like what we've discovered is that like if a human being believes in something, that's incredibly powerful. That's now obvious, you know, because you have all of these different things, whole worlds of stuff that are produced as a result of people believing in X, Y, and Z. But none of that is necessary for you to do a lot of the stuff that they do because they believe in X, Y, and Z. You could just do stuff regardless of the belief, you know. It's fascinating, especially when you look at the whole placebo thing, and it's like, this will make you better, okay, thank you, and then it does, and you're like, do you know, but what did it do? Did it do anything? The whole sugar pill thing, it's like, you know, all we gave them was like, it was nothing. What we gave them didn't matter, you know. but it did because now they're not sick. And then you get the whole thing of like, well, is it psychosomatic? You know, implying that like, well, it's the mind. And then you look at the Matrix. The whole Neo gets hurt and comes back out of the simulation, comes back out of the Matrix, and he's like, I thought what we were interacting with wasn't real. And Morpheus is like, your mind makes it real. And it's like, hold on a minute. So if I just think, ow, my face is broken, my face will just like implode on itself. like if I just imagine myself smashing into a pavement at terminal velocity, well, I just like spontaneously turn into a flesh pancake, like in a grotesque manner. Like, imagine the sound of that. You just sit beside somebody who just has the thought that they just like slapped their face off a fucking pavement at like 80 miles an hour or some shit, and it's like they got hit with a 50 cal or something, like just like in a moment. And you're just like, oh my god, what the fuck, Jim? Why did you think of that? Like, that's what I think. Like, obviously, there's like some kind of like safety. There's like a fail safe in our brain where like you think of something, you know. Like, I'm thinking about right now, like a knife going through my heart. Basic kitchen knife being planted in my chest right now. I'm trying to envision that right now. I'm fine. But I know I've done this. Like, if you really like try and think about it and you try and like feel it, weird shit happens. Like, you know, you get like weird sensations in your body where you're like, okay, I don't think I should keep doing this. I've experienced that like a few times, where like you genuinely try and like feel something that's not happening physically, you know. Like, I've tried like moving stuff in my mind and all, like, swear to god I got a fucking cigarette lighter to like and the butt of a, of course it's all to do with smoking. I'd just be sitting there like smoking a joint, looking at an ashtray or something, like zone out for like 15 minutes. And so that you could definitely argue that I'm like, oh, he's hallucinating. Like, genuinely don't think I was. I've made stuff like just wobble like a tiny bit to the point where I like give myself a fright, you know. And I'm like giggling to myself and like convincing myself, well, not convincing myself, I'm like debating with myself, did that happen, didn't it happen? And it is one of those things where it's like you could do something physical, you know, like learn an intricate trick with like a bunch of elastic bands, and you'd be sitting there for hours trying to get it right. Or learning a song on a guitar, right? You finally get it right, and then you try to do it in front of somebody. And this like gets into the whole thing of like, does stuff change when something else is witnessing you and shit? People change when they're witnessed by other people. And when they're not physically witnessed by other people. People change when they believe they're being witnessed by something. Like, how fucking fascinating is that? It's like, you could just be like, Santa Claus is watching. And like, kids would be like, you know, like, they'll alter their behavior based on what they believe. Like, this is just fascinating. Like, once you become aware of that, because you start looking at all of these groups and these religious, you know, what would you call it? Just different religions. You know, I was gonna say religious groups, but it's like, that's what a religion is like a fucking belief system held by a group of people. So like, you just look at all the groups. There's so many groups, you know, like the world of chess. The world of Car-Jitsu. Remember that? Remember Car-Jitsu? Hilarious. Did I show up during an epic ranting goo? How long have I been talking? Yeah, nearly 40 minutes. I'm just, yeah. I have a lot on my mind today because I'm so relaxed from like, I had like a really good stretch when I was doing Qigong earlier. And I could feel my back, you know. I could feel where the problem is. And there's a lot of pain sitting there that like I can't feel because like it's been so long and like my body is like, you know, compensating and stuff. But I can fucking feel it like when I'm in the right position long enough, and then I start like stretching like just the Shaolin horse stance stuff, like where like you're like in a deep squat, but like your feet are like way further out than your shoulders, you know, almost like you're doing a splitting, like halfway between doing the splits and doing the squat, while keeping your torso totally upright and your pelvic floor like tucked up so your butt's not sticking out, and then like you push forward like you're doing a like push up on the floor or something, like, and you like hold that stance for as long as you can and all. Like, man, the shit that happens is crazy. Like, for somebody like me anyway, that like, you know, didn't do that stuff when I was a child, because like who the fuck in the West was like from the age of 8, you know, taught how to do all that shit. Like, it's like, it's so funny to me how like all this talk of like that's racist and cultural appropriation and you can't do this and all, like, you know what I mean? And then like it's just, it's all just totally backwards, which is, it is, it's profoundly frustrating for people like us that are just honest and like not retarded, you know. You don't even have to be like, that's the thing, is like you really don't have to be like profoundly intelligent at all to like just grasp the basics of reality and like how things work, and then from that grasp like how people work and their motivations and why and all this shit. Like, it's not like, it's not this big thing of like, oh, you're so smart. Like, it's no, like, I really don't, like, I don't, like, I think I'm, you know, like where I'm at, like, you know, intellectually or in a knowledge way or like physically or whatever, like, is like so low on the total pole of like what I would consider to be like a, you know, a holistically healthy in like mind, spirit and body, like, man, like, do you know what I mean? I've got so much to learn, so much to like train myself to do, like, do you know what I mean? Like, in a lot of ways I'm like a big kid, you know. And then I look around at like other people with like careers in quotes or whatever, or if they've been at the same job for like years and they've got like, you know, 2 3 kids, 1 kid, it doesn't matter, they've got kids, they've got responsibilities, they've got kids, bills, car, all this fucking shit, like, do you know what I mean? I've had a mad life, like, I've had a mad life where like I've tried to be like, you know, doing the right thing, go out, get a job, do all this stuff, like, just like, and just crazy family stuff, crazy stuff going on in my country, to where like, you know, like everybody knows there's stuff going on but like nobody really talks about it because it's like, well, what are you gonna do? That's why somebody like Owen and his streams are like so profoundly like, you know, helpful, because it's like really like what I would consider, it's like like in the grand scheme of things, it's like stuff everybody should know. That's what you should know in like from being in school, is like, if you were left in the wilderness in the middle of the night naked, you would have the requisite knowledge and capabilities to survive no matter where in the realm you found yourself. Scorching desert, blistering cold, whatever. You would like wake up and be like, "Oh fuck, how did I get here? What the fuck happened?" But you wouldn't be like helpless. You'd be like, "Shit, I need shelter. I need this. Where am I? Okay, look at the sun. Look at the fucking topography. Okay, looks like I'm in blah blah blah. Okay, well I know that like that region contains these. Okay, I need to find myself some underground, you know, root vegetable things to get myself some water." Like, you just know everything, you know, because you know the realm you live in, you know. Like, that's what like I believe, like like that makes so much sense, to have like a healthy, capable, trusting populace and all. Like, and I get it, like, you know, depending on how trusting your populace is like a weakness, because you have all these like sorcerer level demonic fucking asshole lunatics who are like, I will trick them and they will all likely die, but I won't be around when they die. I will have scurried off with my riches, and months from now they'll all be dead and nobody will know that it was I that sold them poison instead of something that, you know, cured their typhoid or something. I don't fucking know. Like, it's like even something simple like porn, you know, like distributing porn into an area, like, so all the men are just like, like gooning and stuff, like that's, it's like you know, throwing a steak at a dog, you know. There's just like the over, like, only a person who has been like molded by noble society would have the awareness and the self-control to be like, ugh, what filth, and like push it aside, you know. Society we were brought up in just like normalized everything, you know. It's like people call each other wankers all the time, but sure, everybody's a wanker, you know. Mad stuff like where everything is just like taken as a given. I had a few moments in my life like that where like I'd be in a room full of people, like anything, like a wedding, a party, like a fucking interview for a job, like, and just the way people behaved made me feel like a fucking alien sometimes, because I was like, oh my god, like the way, like, it's almost worse than what you see in TV shows and movies. Because like you expect the stuff in TV shows and movies, you're like, oh, this is fantasy, or you know, or it's like, you know, based on real life, or it's an attempt at, like, you know, it's like an adaptation, or it's supposed to be a reenactment or something, but it's all like, in general, it's like, it's an act, it's theater, it's a show, it's fake, you know. Even if it's attempting to replicate real life, it's not real life, it's a set, you're looking at stuff through a lens, like, do you know what I mean, and it's all framed and shit, like they're telling a story. But then you see what happens in real life and you're like, it's actually hard to capture the profound, like, mysteriously endless supply of like what the fuck moments that life provides you with, you know. You just see how other people behave and you're just like, what the fuck drove you to do that, you know. And like, it's not like that's only happening now. Do you imagine how mad it was being like back in the day where like no cameras, you know, there's only guardsmen, like either on foot or on horseback or whatever. Like the amount of shit people could get away with it, where they could just like drag somebody into a nearby forest and like do all sorts to them and like just play it off. It's like, you know, they're missing. You know, have you seen Tim? Nope, haven't seen him in weeks. You know, like, it's not like they're gonna be like, we need to get the, what's that stuff, luminol spray out and like spray the rocks and see if there's like blood stains or like comb somewhere or some shit, like, you know, we found a hair. Like, it's, sure, you would have had like trackers and stuff that could like, maybe depending on the scenario, like, but just like you had trackers, you also had people that had knowledge how to hide things. It's the same thing. It's like two, like, it's the, everything is true but false at the same time, depending on like what polarization you're looking at, like positive or negative. Because it's like, but surely a tracker would be able to discern, you know, they bled here, then they took 7 steps this way, and then they fell, and they did this and all. Like, well, the same kind of like knowledge works the other way, where it's like there's people that know how to like cover all that up. Like, why do you think criminal organizations still like exist and stuff? It's like all these like huge military armies and like governments and shit, but there's still organized crime, you know. Like, how's that even possible? It's because like it's all based on like motivation and like real world like need and want and desire and like actual power, you know. Because like the reality is, it's like, well, we could send a contingent of like, you know, government paid warriors in to like kill you and all your cronies. But like legally, can we do that now? Considering like, you know, like it's like just like sanctioned murder of a load of criminals, like, you know, and that has happened where it's like, oh, they shot at us, all right, green light, and they're just like, it's like what happened to all the drug dealers. Oh well, they shot at us, so like, you know, green light, you know, like. But like the more like enlightened in quotes, and the more there's cameras everywhere and like and all this shit, it's like the amount that, like, it's almost like more stuff hidden now, but at the same time there's like more stuff being seen. You know, you get to see stuff that you've never seen before, where like you're looking at like police body cams and you're like, oh my god, like what kind of depraved human being would do such a thing, like, you know? Or you like look at a police cam and be like, oh my god, what an absolute legend of a cop, you know? Some of the shit cops do are fucking wild, like, you know, those are like the people that like throw themselves into danger to like save a baby or like, you know, a homeless dude that's about to get hit by a car or some shit, like, do you know, it's like That's the reason people want to be police. That's the noble thing. Is like protect the weak, serve all this shit. Like, but there is, like, it's like everything else. It's like you have this fucking power play of like, oh, I have a gun now, and like access to all this stuff, and like, you know, now I know a load of shit that the average member is like a civilian wouldn't know. It's like being part of the military, like, because it's like you know all this shit that like you otherwise wouldn't know. You even know stuff like that working for a post office, or it could be something benign, like you work in a fucking glove making factory. And there's just certain things that you're like aware of that like nobody else is aware of unless they work in a glove making factory. Do you know what I mean? And that's why like I think comedians are so powerful, because like typically comedians would be like just these like wandering nomadic types that like do all sorts of different shit so that they have the most amount of like the biggest data pool to draw from in order to make observations and draw and connect dots and like make juxtapositions and all this stuff, and you know, be funny and tell the truth and all this shit, like a wandering bard or mystic or some shit, like, you know, because those are very interesting people where like you sit down and talk to somebody like that and it's like, well, I was once in Tibet and a man gave me a bowl and that bowl made a sound, you know, like, and you're just like enthralled by like, what the fuck, a bowl? Like, it's like, what kind of bowl? Just a bowl? Like a noodle bowl? Like fucking, you know, like I love all that shit where it's just like laid out in front of you because it's a story. That's why we love movies so much, you know. It's like, just tell me a story. But then like you start to realize that like not only a lot of the stories that have been told, not only is it like lies or something about an event that did actually happen, but they're like, you know, using it as propaganda or whatever to like give you a false sense of reality so they can use it in a political fucking move, like, or some shit. Like they're trying to brainwash you like with like color formations and shapes and like flicker rates and stuff, like, you know. It's like essentially like this whole bullshit of like, oh well, we only experiment on animals. My hole. Do you know what I mean? Like, we only do like, you know, potentially unethical, like, you know, like ethically grey like morally ambiguous shit. We only do that to rabbits and guinea pigs and monkeys and like humans. We do it to humans too, but we, you know, we're not allowed. But we do it. Like, you know, it's like who says who is a terrorist? Who says who is a criminal? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you can't argue that shit. That's why there's so much conflict going on right now, because of that Jewish Torah level of like, or not, that Talmudic level of argumentation, where it's like you see stuff like that in Britain, where like a fucking burglar breaks in through somebody's skylight at their home, falls into the kitchen, and lands on a knife, and then ends up suing the homeowner that he attempted to burgle, and being like, if you didn't leave your knives out on the counter, I wouldn't have, you know, nearly died from severing my femoral artery trying to break into your home. Like, like those things exist. These things aren't like fiction. Like that's like the real world is like that. Like I heard about a guy who was like potentially getting deported from, I think it was Ireland, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was America. I'm not sure. But like it was like this Afghani fella who argued in court. I don't know if it was like, you know, like it might have been a civil court thing. I'm not sure. Like, but he argued like lawfully in front of like lawfare fucking warriors, you know, which is essentially what they are. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's like a battle of law, which is hilarious because it almost like that's inverted now too. Where it's well, you kill that man, so you will be hanged. It's like, it's not that simple anymore. We don't just have, you can't do that. Now it's like, well, did he do it? You have to prove that he did it. And then we have to be like, have a conversation about, well, he did do it. Well, was it wrong that he did? What's the context like? It's like, yes, he brutally murdered his wife with a baseball bat. But why? Well, she stole everything from him and fucked his brother. Like, and then he finally found out because somebody let it slip at the local barbershop. Like, and you're like, oh, that's a tough one now. Like, Like, it's just, it's the same with everything. Like, it's like even with Nick Fuentes, like, she's just be like, who the fuck listens to this little oily goblin of a fella? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, and his eyebrows and shit. Like, he's the type of young fella that would have just got dunked in a bin. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, just turned upside down and put in a bin and left there. Like, guys, that's not funny, teacher. Like, you know those losers that get bullied and it doesn't, like, it makes them weak. Like, I got bullied and, like, I wanted to kill everyone. It made me stronger. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, the type of guys that get bullied and then they, like, use the authority to their advantage and, like, bitch and moan and whine and then conspire for weeks or months or years. Like, one day I will own the world. Like, that's the, like Pinky in the Brain. You know, like, what are we doing? What are we doing today, Brain? Today, Pinky, we're going to rule the world. Like, it's that, like, maniacal fucking, you know, I will kill them all. Like, don't get me wrong. I've had thoughts where, like, I want to kill everything and everyone, but, like, it's from, like, a primal, you know, animalistic, like, Wolverine-esque fucking, like, I want to fight, I want to kill, I want to fuck it. It's like, that's, like, primal power, like, do you know what I mean? And, like, yeah, it needs to be, like, disciplined and, like, trained, and it's the kind of thing that, like, a lot of black lads have that, where it's just, like, I'm gonna steal this car, I'm gonna shoot this bitch, I'm gonna fucking, like, I'm gonna shag this bitch, I'm gonna get this bitch pregnant, and then I'm gonna marry this bitch, and then, like, it's just, like, do, go, go, go. You know, no past, no present, no future. Just do. Like Yoda, there is no try. Like, and it makes perfect sense. Like, do you know what I mean? Because, like, we are animals, but, like, then you have to, like, add on the awareness and the culture and all this shit. Like, but, like, if nobody teaches it to you, where do you get it from? You know? Like, if you just, like, that you have movies like that and concepts like that, like, stuff like that in movies and all, where it's like, he was raised by wolves, you know, and then you meet the guy, and he's like, you know, like, it's like, is that human? You know, like, looks human. The whole, like, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, sounds like, it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, and moves like a duck, it's probably a duck. Like, you know, I suppose looking and moving, like, synonymous, I don't know, but, like, it's like, looks like a human, but, like, barks and fucking moves like a wolf. It's like, what is it? It's a man wolf, it's a wolf man, dog man. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, these things aren't just, like, myths and legends, they're real. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a time where they're, like, fucking, you know, discovered alchemically how to, like, you know, like, breed with other creatures, like, successfully, and create all sorts of weird hybrids and shit. And, like, they say it's like, you know, and then God stopped all that. But, like, what did God do to stop all of it? Oh, like, fire rained from the sky. Like, what if that's just happens when you, like, you know, like, this place is like a game, you know, and if you start fucking with shit, it, like, has a, like, a chaotic butterfly effect where, like, other shit just starts, like, fucking up around you, like, you know? It's like, what happens if I stick my cock in a man's ass, and then the next thing you know, Rome falls? You know, like, it's like, well, you have free will, you know, like, it's like, that's what happens, like. There's consequences to things, like you eat too much this, and it can, like, you can eat too much of a certain thing, and it can, like, change the complexion of your skin. You know, like you can drink too much water. You know, the thing that, like, we've all been told is, like, if you don't have water for, like, 3 days, like, you're, like, dead. You know, but, like, you can also drink too much of it. You, like, do fucked up shit to your kidneys and liver if you're just, like, pounding water and all, like. It's fascinating to me, this whole thing of, like, you shouldn't drink alcohol, but, like, you know, you shouldn't do weed, but, you know, cocaine's a hell of a drug, you know, but it's like, that's bad, that's good, you know, like. And then the whole Freemason thing, and there's clearly a lot of knowledge and wisdom and all this stuff, and it's like, but they're like, that's black and that's white, you know, boundaries, triangles, geometry, alchemy. We need to get serious about this. Everything needs to be ordered and color coded, and there has to be indexes and lists, and write it all down. And we need to, like, ponder about this shit and make statues and stuff and like telescopes and look at the sky for hours and all. Like, it's like, I feel like I should have been born like in a time like that, like, you know, where you had the fucking freedom essentially to just like provide value in your local area somehow, so that you were like fed and shit or whatever, like, and then the rest of the time you just like picked a vocation, you just totally absorbed by it. Like, now everybody is like essentially forced, like figuratively at gunpoint, realistically at the threat of like homelessness or prison, you know. It's like, if you don't do, because like that's the general avenue of what it is. Like, if you don't go out and get a job and like, you know, buy a car and a home and all this, like, you're not even human. What are you? You're a failure. Like, but like, it hasn't always been like that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you would just be in your surroundings and you'd be like, okay, guess I'm gonna make a hut like my father did, and he would teach you how to do it, and you'd go, and it would be like, it would all be local. It would all be analog, you know. Go here and do this. Like, that's why we love video games and like quests and movies and shit. It's like, problem, question, possible solution, adventure, you know. And like, it's just these very like intrinsically true things about life where you're like I think that about, like, you know, taking one of the most recent things that happened in my life is like I'm just on a walk, and I always go for walks. Why? Because I like walking. And why do I like walking? Because I can think, and, you know, it gets the blood flowing, and it's good for digestion, and it's good to get out and get some fresh air, and I get to stretch my eyes by looking at the horizon and get a bit of elevation by walking uphill, you know, like, and all of these like beneficial things and stuff like that. But then one day, the beneficial thing that I'm doing every day, just by happenstance, takes me past something that I just happen to notice and go, ooh, gallery, and then like all these thoughts go in, and then I go in there, and now my life is like completely different to what it was like a few months ago, because I now have all these like things that have like added on as a result of that one choice on that one day in that one moment, you know. And like you would think, well, there was a point, like, you know, circa like the 50s or something, like obviously you can kind of still do it now, but not really, where it's like the job market is so saturated where like being in a job for, you know, 15 years or some shit like that, or 40 years, or retiring, like, you know, that's not a thing these days. You even see a lot of like people in the tech industry gear themselves up for working in a company for 2 years, then switching to another company, because they work on the basis of like, well, I'm going to pit these two companies against each other to, like, you know, essentially fight over me as a product, as an employee, because I have all of these like skills and attributes that would aid that company or some shit, like, you know. It's mad how everything is gone, instead of like just being in a village and just being like, oh, okay, well, I seem to have like a natural adaptation for like blacksmithing, so I'll just like fucking what would you call it, like apprentice, like from the blacksmith. Now, whether or not the blacksmith is like a dickhead and he's like a shit teacher is like, it's his own thing, but typically that's how it went, you know. There's just people in your vicinity who are like experts in things because they came before you, and you just learn from them. Same like the whole storytelling thing around a fire with the elders. There was this one time that I was coming back with a hog to the village, and a tiger came out of nowhere, and that's how I lost my left arm, and that's why I look like this, you know. And it's just like simple shit. Now it's like you don't even know what our history is, because like so much of it has been lied about, and like you don't even know whether or not to trust like certain authors of certain books. Like, where's the information coming from? You see that a lot these days, where it's like, source, question mark. Well, like, that's a genuinely like valid question these days, because it's like, who's telling the truth, you know? Fucking Russians and so on and so forth are looking at the West in quotes, and they're like the empire of lies. It's like, yeah, but who is it though? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like all of them, none of them. Is it all of us? You know, on like a spiritual meta level, are we all like just existing in this particular timeline as like chronologically or something, as far as the Hindus or the astrologists would be concerned, is like, you know, we're in the age of lies, It's just how it is these days, you know. Which, if that is the case, it's like, okay, fair enough, you know. Being incarnated at this particular point in existence of the human race or whatever, like, you know, it's like, has its benefits, you know. I have access to a load of shit that allegedly they didn't have access to before. But then you can make the argument, like, you know, you look at a lot of this old stuff and it's like, the amount of people that argue that technology was better, like, throughout history, and the stuff that we're using today, like, kind of enslaves us and forces us to behave in certain ways, you know. It's mad, like, just how. And I wouldn't even consider myself the type of person to necessarily overthink things. It's just there's so many different things to consider, to think about. So many different avenues and perceptions, and, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, in order to take it all in, just like writing a book or painting a painting, just sitting there and thinking and considering and pondering, also, like, takes a lot of time, you know, and it should. Just like writing a book or making a painting or whatever, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, and I think that's like another epidemic or something that we have these days, is where people, I'm guilty of this, it's like always on the phone, laptop, looking at screens, listening to stuff, music, podcasts. How often do you just sit in a room for like half an hour, just close your eyes and just think about your past, your future, your present, you know? Didn't the monks do that shit? Contemplate death regularly to, like, remind yourself. It's like, fuck yeah, I'm alive. And, like, puppies. Do you know, like, you know, you start thinking of all these things that, like, are good and bring you joy and make you smile and make you laugh and all, like, and, like, it could be, that could be all you need to get you out of a funk or a depression or, like, a rut in your life or something. Like, it was one of the, like, that was the main thing that got me out of, like, a funk years ago, like, suicidal thoughts, was just fucking giving in and going and talking to, like, you know, like, one of my mates fucking got onto somebody that it's like a Pieta house or something. It's like suicidal free counseling or something. It's like 12, you get 12 free hours of, like, sitting down and talking with, like, a psychiatrist or a fucking counselor or whatever they call them, like, you know. It's just some woman called Jade, really nice lady, and she didn't even talk that much, you know. It is one of those situations where it's like, you don't have anyone in your life that's willing to just sit there and talk to you for hours about everything that you're thinking about, you know, which is really important. Because, like, if you're just going through life and you're, like, only interacting with people in terms of, like, hi, how are you? How's the weather? What did you yesterday? Have you seen the match? Blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, and it's all just these, like, socially applicable things. And then in the moments where you find yourself just, like, alone for, like, a few moments, and you just, like, fill the space in with, like, smoking or doom scrolling on your phone or whatever it is, you know, instead of just being in a moment and thinking about things that are good to think about, you know. Now, obviously, you do the opposite. I mean, that's how you get it, like, you know, in a sense, into a suicidal area where you, like, find yourself just ruminating over, like, really negative shit, you know. Everything sucks. Everyone's an asshole. The world's fucked, you know. None of these things are true, but they are in a certain context, you know. Holistically, they're not true. The amount of shit that, like, in life is just fucking unbelievably amazing. It's just the fact that we live in this, like, system now where you're just constantly bombarded and essentially forced like, to a degree, like, you're not forced, but it's, like, insanely impractical, if not nigh on impossible, given, like, your current circumstances or whatever, to, like, not interact with it and use it, and therefore be bombarded and reminded of it. Like, you know, like, it's inescapable, you know. It is funny where like you get to a certain level of awareness where like you know how like fucked up a lot of this stuff is. Like really like dark and like horrifying, you know. And then accepting that and then choosing to be like, oh, puppies, you know, kittens, ladybugs, little brown birdies out in the garden. A beautiful song. Fucking YouTube copyrighted my fucking last episode because I played Bach. What kind of bullshit is that? You gotta copyright Bach? What the fuck? So I can listen to fucking metal probably made by AI. I can listen to all this other shit and you don't give a fuck. But then I stick Bach on and YouTube's like, no, I'm blocking that. Ugh, you're not allowed to play Bach. You're fucking serious, like. Some amount of bullshit these days. Some amount of bullshit. Right, what have I missed? C.S. Lewis illustrated the importance of a man putting aside childish things. Then I think it was Tolkien who says escapism is good also, but all in moderation. Yeah, like the whole thing, everything in moderation, including moderation, I think is one of those like really powerful, true things that's like it's kind of hard. It's like hard to argue against that. You know, the things that are like really fucking true is like when you like try and argue and make it false or argue against it. Like you can't really. Like it's like a very like found a truth that has strong roots and foundation in like logic and like evidence and shit. Like everything in moderation, including moderation, is a really good saying. It's so fucking true. My dad's neighbour is taking me up the mountain in his side by side to show me an old graveyard from the 1850s, and he's gonna smack you over the back of the head with a shovel and bury you in a shallow grave. Hereditary, not all meth is created equal. Yeah, I always thought that was funny about cokeheads. You'd always hear them talking about like, oh, that's stepped on, or like what percentage is it, or like is it pure, or like is that they call it like if it's not you know, what's it cut with and all, like, do you know what I mean? Because it's like essentially like the powder version of like something being diluted or watered down. I always thought that was very funny, you know. It's like cocaine is so potent and so like sought after. It's so valued by. I don't think you call like it's not like you can say by addicts. Surely, like I wonder what the percent, like if you could do the statistics of that. It's like what percentage of cocaine users are actually addicted to coke. You know, because that was one thing that I found surprising about myself is like somebody would turn around to me between the ages of like when I started smoking 17 and then roughly like 28 or something. People would say to me every so often like, have you ever thought of quitting or like stop smoking and drinking or whatever? And I'm like, if I want to stop, I'll stop, but I don't want to stop. I like it. And people say, well, that means you're definitely addicted, you know. But in my experience, that's not true. Because there's huge periods of time where I have no alcohol. And the couple of times that I've, you know, been like, right, I'm not smoking, I can just stop. Now, I would argue I have not an addiction, but a crutch-like dependency, because I have a high temptation and habit, like a negative habit of when I come across stressors, I use that as a de-stressor. but I don't have an addiction because it's not like I'm like, chewing the walls, like, oh, I fucking need it. I want it. I need it. I'm thinking about it all the time. I can't. I'm like, uncomfortable until I get it. That kind of thing. I'm not like that. I just go, okay, well, I'm not doing that. So what else will I do? Like I put on fucking 20 pounds because like instead of smoking, I just spent like 3 weeks just eating balls of pistachio nuts and crisps, and like I started snacking way more. My appetite exploded. You start working out and shit, going for more walks, drink a ton of water. Like that shit works where it's like what you're trying to get past is a habit. Because what you've done is like created a habitual response in your nervous system where it's like, I do this now. I do this now. What time is it? I do this now. And now you're trying to change that. So you've basically trained yourself one way, and now you're trying to train yourself to be a different way. So instead of being like, well, I'm just not going to do that anymore. And then your nervous system is going to be like, you're supposed to be doing something right now. Where is it? Like, instead of that, you just replace it with something positive, And it's like, well, I was trying to put weight on. I was looking a bit on the lean side, a bit too lean for a guy my height and size or whatever. So I started eating loads. Because then you get people who'd be like, oh no, you don't want to snack between meals, and you don't want to have like a caloric surplus and stuff like that. Like, because that's how you get fat and unhealthy. It's like, not if you're me. I need to eat. I need to put on weight. I need to bulk up. I'm the opposite end of the spectrum of healthy. I need to put some fucking healthy fat on and shit like that. Like, I need to stop smoking as much. Will I ever stop smoking like completely and I'll never have a cigarette again? Probably not. I can see myself not having anything for months at a time, and then like on a particular Saturday where it's like a special occasion or something, like, fuck it, I'll have like a nice cigarette and a glass of wine and just really like, because that's all it is. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not like seeking a high, really, which makes a lot of sense for me, because like one of the reasons why I didn't start smoking because I wanted to necessarily. I started smoking to shut other people up at the time. Oh, just try it, go on, like, fucking whatever. It's like peer pressure, and I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. And then they're like, you're not even doing it right, you need to inhale. And then the next thing you're like, I like that. I like how that feels, And then you notice yourself where, like, you notice the change where you don't have it, and you're like, why am I in a bad mood or something, like, Whereas, like, because I think an addiction is like almost like an ignorance, and an addiction is a lack of awareness. Because you're like a squirrel with a nut, You're like, I need it. Where is it? Like, all this fucking shit, like. And like that's how you get into those like fucked up mindsets and mentalities of like you do fucked up shit to get the thing that you think you need. But anytime like I ran out or I didn't have the money or couldn't get out, I'd be annoyed. I'd be like, ugh, that's not ideal. But then I would like accept it and then try and like move past it and do other stuff and all. Like, incredibly difficult when you're surrounded by a bunch of people who like more than likely are addicted, like, Oh, that is what it is. I've always noticed things about myself where I'm like, I'm not like other people, and it's not all in a good way. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I have some like, just like everybody else, I have some like negative hang-ups where like I think I am like a little bit psychopathic because of the way my dad was when I was younger. I'm just like I'm a little bit like, mad, like, compared to other people. Like, I would do shit that like other people would be like, no, I could never do that. I'd be like, watch me, bitch. Like, but like, I'm aware of that, so like I know like when it's a bad thing and when it's a good thing. Cause it like it's like anger. It can be a good thing and a bad thing. there are times where an anger is like totally needed and justified and like warranted and all these things. But it also depends on how it's expressed. You know, it's like you don't want to fucking be the whole tyrannical emperor thing and get angry on a random Thursday and go and slaughter a village that had nothing to do with why you're angry. You know, that's not a healthy expression of anger. A healthy expression of anger would be like, you know, doing intense exercise or kicking the shit out of a heavy bag, um, playing heavy metal. You know, like there's a reason heavy metal is so big. You know, that's a form of escapism. That's like it's not just escapism. It's like therapy. You know. How's things? Nice tropical look on the canvas. Yeah, this one came out quite well. Thank you. Hopefully I don't ruin it. Or hopefully I don't do something to it where I'm like, fuck this now. Like, I'm gonna try and put statues of horses, essentially, even though it's crystal pony tennis. So they're supposed to be ponies, or one pony or something. But like we got crystal pony and then tennis. So I'm gonna put a tennis net in going across the river, and I'm gonna put a statue of a horse holding a tennis racket on either side of the river. And if I pull it off right, it'll look pretty fucking epic. I don't even know if I'm gonna fucking paint today. I have a meeting that I have to get to in like an hour. One of those community things that's on from like 6:30 till 8. I still haven't gotten something for the dinner for later, so I have to hit up a fucking shop. I probably have to do that after the meeting. And then I have a lot of work to do. It will, like, you know, that's not PEINTEINGU. I still have that like Gundam looking symmetrical thing to finish. I have 2 other symmetricals to like. One of them I have to fucking start and finish. The other one I have to finish like maybe a third the way through it. There's loads of stuff I have to do. Design a fucking logo now for that group I'm a part of. Ugh. And I'm not fucking getting paid for any of it. It's just stuff I have to do that will hopefully lead to money in the future, which is very stressful. It's very stressful, like doing a lot of work, and not getting paid for like any of it. But knowing that like it's just something that you need to do. Is like you need to do a load of stuff that you don't get paid for, and then the money comes. So that's where I've been at for maybe like a year now. Where it's just like I have so much work to do. And I'm tired. I'm tired a lot. It doesn't help when you have a fucking bulging disc in your back and like you're already like lethargic and stiff and tense a lot. Like sometimes when I get up from like I'll really get into like a session or something where I sit down, I do like an hour or 2 hours of like, you know, designing or sketching or preparing or painting or whatever. Because there's all the in-between shit, like, you know, if I'm doing it on a canvas, I need to stick some gesso on it and shit like that and prepare the canvas properly and so on and so forth. I see these people who just paint straight onto the canvas while it still has the texture of the weave. And I've done it before, you know, but like I've done it and I've been like, why is this so shit? And then I learned about the whole like gesso stuff and like priming a canvas correctly so that like, you know, it has the right bite but also has the right finish and like structure for like the paint to sit on and for it to be like flat and all this shit. Like That's why a lot of the time it's just way easier to just paint on paper. But then you're looking at like what kind of paper, because you don't want to paint on like just like everyday like printer shitty paper. You can, but like stuff's weak when you get it wet. It just falls apart. Like all that stuff. Like anyway. Heard about a book there about how the Navy SEALs in America are basically just a crime syndicate now. Absolutely wild. Yeah, like that's the unfortunate reality of like lots of the people in authority in the current timeline we exist in is like there's no good kings, there's no good like presidents, there's no good politicians, there's no like like you could argue that like you're basically arguing the lesser of two evils all the time now. There's no one that you can look at in the mainstream who's in power on the world stage right now and be like, oh yeah, I think he's like a good guy and he's doing the right thing. Like maybe like I heard the guy who was like in charge of Hungary is like pretty based or something. Like I don't know, but like essentially all of it comes from like you know really dark shit, and then fighting the really dark shit. But like I think the people who are like doing the good work of like trying to stop child trafficking and like pedophile rings and like organized crime that like uses porn and like religious grifting and drugs and stuff like that. Like, and when I'm talking about drugs, it's like the bad kind of drug dealers are the drug dealers that like cause like opioid epidemics and like stuff like flakka and shit like that, where like people like go insane and like eat each other's faces or like turn into literal walking zombies and then die of like cardiac arrest or their liver shutting down or something, like or they have like an epileptic fit that's like so intense it like you know fries their brain or something. Um like that's the dark stuff. That's the stuff that you see where like like the city life, the ghettoization, like stuff's getting real, just like dirty and degenerate and dark and hellish. But like a local hippie who grows his own stuff and like sells like homemade brownies or something, like like that's not a bad thing. It's like a modern version of like a herbalist or something. Like it's like I would argue that even when it comes to stuff like some amphetamines or like meth or whatever cocaine is, like, do you know what I mean? There's a place for stuff like that. Like everybody drinks like insane amounts of caffeine and alcohol and like sugar and all this. Like all of these like biologically uh, physical state altering uh what would you call them, substances that you can consume, where it's like I need coffee, I need to be awake and alert and I need more energy and my heart rate goes up and all this shit, like, oh, I want more alcohol, or like fucking you've had so much alcohol you can't even like you can barely get your keys out of your pocket and you're trying to drive home. Like, to me it's like the stuff that we are allowed to do, which is hilarious when you think about it. Like, it's what we allow each other to do. It's like not really though. It's like nobody agrees on anything. There is no democracy. Like there's no, like you literally get told to vote. Like if you're getting told to vote, that's somebody saying that they own you. Like that they're in control of your fate. Yes or no. Like they're giving you a choice. Like how fucked up is that? Like, do you know what I mean? That's not how it should be run. It's like it's supposed to be like the Americans said. It's like a government by the people for the people. All this shit. It's like the only reason a government as an entity should exist is because it's just logistics and consolidation of knowledge and sharing of knowledge and resources and shit. Where it's like, this county needs a new road. How are we going to achieve this? Okay, well we'll consolidate resources. Like, like that's the type of shit that should happen. Is where like like there's been talks about a ring road to go around Tipperary town for fucking years apparently. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like the government should be a thing where it's like, oh yeah, well, we'll look to do that like as quickly as possible and in the most efficient way possible and in a way that like benefits like all the people involved. So like it'll employ local artisans and builders. It'll employ local civil engineers and architects and stuff like that. Like, but that's not the case, because the way everything works is like they ship them in from abroad, or they get them online. You know, like it's all done through like digital shit now and all. So it's like these people can find the cheapest, you know, or the best deal or whatever, which is immoral, because it's like, okay, well, I can do this for less money. It's less expensive for me if I do it this way. But like, that's not a good enough argument to do something a certain way. When you're doing something, like if you're going to do anything, you should do it the right way. There's a right way to do stuff and there's a wrong way to do stuff. Like, you know, the right way to do things, whether it's financially expensive or not, should be, you know, to involve the people in the local people in it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like if you have like local family members and like kids and fucking parents and all this stuff like involved in the, like if you can turn around and be like, oh yeah, so what does your father do? Oh, he helped build the bridge that goes around the town or over the river. Do you know what I mean? So what does your father do? He's a policeman in the local like if it's all local and it's like literally relative, where it's your relatives, it's the people you relate to locally, it's your family, your cousins, and the like, you know, whether or not it's people from the county over or something doesn't matter, because it's like we're all like a homogenous culture or whatever. Like, to me, it's like that's the way it's supposed to be. It's like they used to say all the time of like, Jesus, you can't go anywhere on this island without bumping into somebody who knows somebody you know, or somebody you know, or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like that's how it's supposed to be. That's what creates a high trust, well functioning society, is like your fucked up behavior is constantly checked because everybody knows you. So it's like a real life version of like believing in Santa Claus or God. Because instead of being like, oh, I don't want to go to hell when I die, so I better be good, it's like, well, I don't want everybody to like kick the shit out of me or hate me or want me out of town or banish me or whatever. So I better fucking like act right, you know? I don't have that anymore because there's no there's no need for that. It's like you could show up in if you're a guy from a fucking third world country, you could just show up in a first world country, not speak the language, not have any ties to the area, not have any incentive whatsoever to integrate, you know, at all. You could just show up as you, Umbumbawe from wherever the fuck, you know, or you could be like Muhammad from wherever the fuck, and you just show up and you're like, yeah, I'm here now. And let's do all stuff my way now. So we need a fucking Turkish barbers and a mosque and a fucking reggae burger joint and a fucking like, you know. And I'm not saying these things are inherently bad. It's like that's your culture. Yeah, do it in your own fucking area. Like, do you know what I mean? But that's what it is. It's like, so they can like they can come to our place and be like, but I'm Muslim. I'm entitled to this. But we're not doing that today. We're not going to fucking Afghanistan being like, I'm Irish. I'm entitled to this. You'd get laughed at. You get slapped. You get shot. Like the potential for you to actually be killed, depending on where you try and pull that bullshit off. Like, you know, versus here, it's like, oh yeah, come right in. We'll pay you to come here. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we'll set you up with an Uber Eats fucking job, or just an Uber job, or we'll put you in an office doing like logistics or whatever. Like, we'll pay you like, you know, minimum wage or whatever. Like, give you a phone. Here you go. Why? So that they don't have to do it the right way, so that they don't have to compete, so that they just soak up all the resources, so they can just be on a yacht somewhere and not give a fuck. Like, that's the end goal of a lot of these people. It's not like they're like, you know, they want to eat babies in the streets or something. Like, it's almost worse. At least I understand that on like a fucking demonic level, where I'm like, yeah, well, that's just what he is. Is like a holistically dark creature. Like, do you know what I mean? It's almost worse because it's like they're such parasites. They don't just do an evil deed and then it's kind of done. It's like years and years and years of like Ponzi schemes and sucking people dry, and the whole time they're like just going around the world, fucking beautiful women, doing drugs, making a load of money, and for what? So they can spend it on shit. Well, what do they spend it on? More like stuff that costs insane amounts of money. It doesn't make any sense. I have to make those stacks. I need to get like at least like, 8-figure, fucking income or some shit. Why? So I can buy this like ridiculously overpriced car. Why? So I can buy this ridiculously overpriced house. Why? So I can feel like I'm winning at life. Do you know what I mean? It's like so fucked. Like I feel like I'm winning in life, at life, and I live in the middle of Tipperary town, on a main road. But like I go out in my back garden and I'm like, God, I need to take better care of this. It's such a nice garden. I go down in the morning and like I wake up beside me missus, and like most of the time anyway, don't get me wrong, you have those days where you're like, fuck that bitch, because you're having an argument or some shit, like, do you know what I mean? Like, but most of the time I wake up beside her and I'm like, oh my God, she's so pretty, and I go down and I make coffee and tea and I'm like happy to be alive, like, That's all it's about. That's all it's about, really. Like, it's just being like, no, yeah, I'm good. Like, literally, you just choose to be good. And it's funny because like you get those moments where you're like, nah, yeah, like it's definitely the right way to be. Can't complain about it, and like my life is completely improved in so many ways. My mental health, my physical health, my spiritual awareness and well-being, and all this fucking shit. Like, and then the stress comes because like fuck all people are doing that. Like, most people are just like, feed me, it's crazy. Press button, feed me, pay me, feed me, give me this. Like, don't get me wrong, part of me would love to like go to a racetrack or something and pay a bit of money. I wouldn't want to pay like too much money, but like pay a bit of money to get like a shot of a Lamborghini for like an hour. But I wouldn't want to own one. What the fuck am I gonna do with that? Like I never understood that. You see people like that in countries like this where the roads aren't even that great. And, like, most of them aren't even that long. And there's fucking speed limits all over the place. What the fuck are you doing in a Lambo? Do you know what I mean? Like, where are you going at, like, 200 miles an hour? Nowhere! That's where, like... The fuck? Get a Volkswagen. Shut the fuck up. Like... like, I've gone through most of my life. I don't even need a car. Like, do you know what I mean? Like... It's so funny, like... It's hilarious to me. That's what, like, when I see lads on horseback, and like you do see people who's like, oh, fucking scumbags, the pikeys on horseback and all. That I'd much rather that. I'd much rather have a horse, be like a big fucking dog. Do you know what I mean? I love animals, but it's like I can't have a horse. Where am I gonna put it? In my back garden? You're joking me, like, poor horse. That'd me be fucking up a horse's life, like, should be like keep him relegated to this little thing. Where am I? Like, I can't bring it through the house to take it outside. Be mad, like, But I'd much rather a horse than a fucking car. That symbiotic relationship of like you keep him clean, keep him well fed, like, like give him plenty of space to run around and all. Maybe get another horse so he has a pal or some shit, like. And then you get people being like, oh, look at those people. They're so rich and so well-to-do. Must be nice. They have like 6 horses, like 8 dogs and all. It's like, fuck yeah! I want a fucking castle. I want horses. I want a garden. It's not because I'm bougie and like I want to be like I want a lot of money. It's like I want to wake up in the morning and be like, oh my God, my home's amazing, and then like move through my home and like take care of my home and be like, oh yeah, I love living here, and then go out the back garden and be like, I love these animals that I take care of and shit. Have a lot of dogs, have a lot of cats, ducks and shit. I totally get where like Owen's coming from, where he's like, fuck yeah, like I'm going all in. If I had the money, I totally would have done the same thing, like a total bimbo. I would have been exactly like that, where they've been like buying a load of shit and just doing it, because that's how I live. I just like, what are we doing? Okay, and we do it. And you learn as you're doing stuff. You're like, fuck, that went wrong. I'm not doing that again. Like, I totally would have been like that. Like, Emma, we're getting alpacas. We're what? Like, she'd be, "What, fucking alpacas are amazing. They're adorable. They're hilarious. Perfect combination of like funny looking and cute. You know, and they give you wool and shit, and their manure is like incredible for the soil and all. Like, it's like so many things about nature are so fucking cool. Bees are amazing. Like, it's like, but then you look at the rest of society and it's just like, fuck it. Like, even the UFC is shit now. Like, you know what I mean? They're using that Nina bitch to just like basically goon farm and like promote the new fights by being like, look at how sexy Nina is and all. It's like so sad. Like, I'm not even alive that long, and I remember a time where it was like, this weekend the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and then like it's just like images of dudes like fucking killing each other, blood all over the place, with that like meme of your man that just like had like "just bleed" written on his belly in what looked like red marker or ketchup or something, and it's just like, you know, like insanely masculine. Like, and now it's just like basic, like it's owned by Disney, and now they're just trying to get to the kids. It's all just about getting them, like, you know, when they're like in between 9 and like 20. They just want to like get their attention with colors and sex and like all this. It's like right as they're starting to hit puberty, they just like take all of that energy that's meant for, like, you know, living a normal, beautiful human existence. You know, your first kiss, like, you know, fucking all this like incredibly wholesome shit. It's just gone now. Where like you have kids, like, it used to be just like the scumbag areas where like you'd be like walking through like a really, really like bad like scumbag area, and you'd see like a child smoking a cigarette, and you'd be like, oh my god, what the fuck? Like, he's about 8 years old and he's like smoking a John Player Blue, like he's fucking 50 with 3 kids, like, like wild stuff. Like, but now it's even worse, and like you don't even see it because like everybody's in their homes or on their phones and shit. Like, you know, it's way more insidious now, where like you just have all these like very young children who are like consuming insane content with their mind and their eyes and their ears, and then they're consuming god knows what with their mouth, you know, like as far as food and like chemicals and like drinks and all this fucking shit goes. And then at the same time with the whole COVID thing, depending on how young they were, you know, that you have a whole generation of children that experience something we never experienced. You know, everybody's wearing masks, not allowed to touch each other. There's plastic everywhere. Like, traumatize the fuck out of you. Like, like mad shit. Like, what time is it? I bet I should just fuck off. I need to eat before I go to this meeting and all. Like, I haven't eaten anything yet. What am I doing tomorrow? Tomorrow's Friday, isn't it? I don't think I have anything on tomorrow. I don't know if I'm doing Hanging with Bears tonight with Stuntman. I don't think he's gotten back to me yet. I know Owen is streaming around midnight our time, GMT. He's going to be like he's going to be debating that other Phil Squirtus. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing Hanging with Bears. I'm supposed to be doing Hanging with Bears with Stuntman around midnight GMT. But I can't lie, like I kinda wanna fucking reschedule again. Even if Owen wasn't doing it tonight, like, I'm fucking knackered. But regardless of what happens, I'll be streaming tomorrow anyway. I'll be streaming tomorrow anyway. I like it when I get like a full week of goo, you know. I like it when I look at my calendar and it's like episode, Monday to Friday, episode. Like, when it's full. When I see gaps, I'm like, huh? Like, fucking, the goo must flow. Like, but anyway, good talk. Yeah, I believe that, Pruner. They're basically a state-sanctioned hit squad for the American mafia. I mean, government. Yeah, it's all just fucking groups. That's the word I use now for all of this. Whether it's the government or it's crime families or like the Rothschilds, all of them. It's just groups. It's just groups of people. It's just a multitude of individuals. That's all it is. You know, it's nothing special. They don't actually have any authority. They're not connected to like a divine thing, like, you know, or whatever. Like, even if they're these like psycho demon worshipping sorcerers that draw runes and like eat babies and stuff, and like what they do has real world effects where they actually, like, you know, fucking have visions where they see like demons and the commune with like the other side and all this crap, and that's what gives them the ability to manifest and do all this crazy shit, manipulate people. Like, even if that is completely true, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of it is, um it's still nothing to fear or worried about because the other stuff exists, you know, as because like if that's real then the other stuff is real too, you know. And I believed in the whole thing of, like, you know, the Matrix with Neo, and just like, no, like Owen said that it's like the real N word is no, not nigger, because if you just go no, fuck you, I'm not doing it, they hate it. They hate it so much. And I've seen that. I've felt that, like, do you know what I mean? Especially with the whole COVID thing, where I'm like, no. And they just look at you with like, you think you're special. It's like, actually, it's you guys who think you're special, like, you know, but whatever, like, I'm just me. I just know I'm me. And I'm not fucking with that shit, like. um Bro, they don't want people listening to classical music. Serious truth to that. Yeah. Man, but like I said that, like when I'm playing, like when you play classical music, it's like don't get me wrong, I can get a similar vibe, like depending on what band I'm listening to or what kind of music I'm listening to. I love heavy metal, like progressive, fucking all the like 80s synth, all different kinds of music. But there's something about the classics that when you're listening to them, it's like they just encourage you to, like, it's like you're listening to flowers bloom. It's like you're listening to the wind blow. It's like you're listening to grass, like, you know, move in the wind, like a tree sway. It's like you're listening to birds chirp. It's like you're listening to concepts and ideas, or a father and a son having a moment, or, like, you know, lovers having a fight, or like two friends having an argument or something. It's like the foundational mathematical properties of classical music just speaks to your nervous system on this incredibly primal level, like, do you know what I mean? Like, to me, it's like like they're like stories for your third eye, like, do you know what I mean? Like, your nervous system and your subconscious and your third eye, like, just hears that shit and go, oh yeah, like, let's just like make stuff and do stuff, and like that's what they put it in the Disney movies, like, hi ho, it's off to work we go. Do 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 do. Like, you see it all the time in Japanese manga and fucking like anime and stuff like that. They have these like incredibly sophisticated songs. You know, it's just this dude on the guitar is just like his fingers are going 90. Like, it's like there's something about it that just like activates your nervous system, like, and it is true, because that's why the Muslims are like no music, because it can be a bad thing, you know, with the whole like crunk music. Like, Owen's spoken about that, like, it's in the music. It's just like, I just want to fuck these bitches and kill these niggas and fucking and all this fucking shit, and you're like, get low. Like, there's like that song, dum dum dum, like, to the window, to the wall, to the sweat drip from my balls. Wow, this bit, like, I know it off by heart. Get low, get low, get low. It's like they had that in what was it? What's that fucking get? Days Gone, the zombie shooter with the biker. The crazy psycho cultist fuckers called the Rippers that were always like cutting each other up and like fucking butchering people and all, like, that was their saying, get low, you're gonna get low. And it's like low vibration, you know, like degenerate and all, like, but like I remember being in primary school I swear to God, I remember being in primary school, so I was probably still like, I was probably like 10 or 11. And we had like, you know, one of them fun days in school where like you don't actually do school, you just have like a fun day where you do sports and games and there's lots of junk food and you're allowed to play music and bring in toys and do all this stuff. And I remember them playing that. I remember them playing like there's a bunch of 10 and 11-year-olds in a 6th class or 5th class classroom in school in the middle of the day listening to dum 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 to the window, to the wall, to the sweater from. And then you don't even know what they're saying until you get older and you're listening to it. You're like, oh my God, what the fuck was I listening to? Like, oh man. It's like wild. And then all the shit we saw on YouTube growing up and shit. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy, like, absolutely crazy. Society is just so, like, mentally ill right now. Like, mainstream society is, like, clown world's a great term, but like in a literal sense, in a very literal, objective, trying to be serious for a moment sense, most of society, especially in the West, but still in the East in many ways, but like, you know, big style in the West right now, most is like totally mentally ill. Like they're like sick in the head. Like like in a very literal way, not like a metaphorical, like spiritual or moral, like all of it. No, like literally, they're like make asylums great again. Do you know what I mean? How funny is that? Like, you know, oh, they're seeking asylum. They're seeking asylum in your country. These poor disadvantaged foreigners from third world. They're seeking asylum. I fucking give them asylum, no problem. I give them a proper fucking, I give them a proper fucking, the proper meaning of asylum. Just put them all in a fucking cube, barred windows and doors. You think that's bad? I used to hear that DJing Ghetto Bop on the school bus radio. Yeah, like that's what I'm talking about. Is it crazy? Then I wised up and brought my CD Walkman every day and drowned it in hardcore metal. Yeah, like it's almost like maybe that's like I wonder if that's like an epigenetic thing as well, like where like people like us were like, I don't like listening to this stuff, I want to listen to this stuff. But you can say the same about metal. There's a lot of like they got to metal like pretty quick, like, do you know what I mean? Like metal's like there's loads of degenerate shit in metal as well, like. But anyway, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna get something to eat and I have to make it to that meeting in the next like 40 minutes. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, and we'll do some work on this. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it depends on how I'm feeling. Maybe I'll have another ranting go. What's important is that I stream. That's all that's actually important, is that I actually like put the thing on and stream. It doesn't have to be for like the ballpark is 2 hours, but like even if it's only for an hour or an hour and a half or like some shit like that, like there was fuck all people here yesterday, you know, and like I'm not gonna do the fucking phrase of the day when it's like literally just me and fucking Demon Hunter, like, do you know what I mean? I'll chill out and I'll paint and stuff, but like I do have other responsibilities and shit to do, and like if nobody's fucking here, it's like whatever, like, do you know what I mean? It's not a big deal, like. I think it would be fucking funny where like eventually there's like 400 people watching me or something like that, and I'm just like, nah, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm not doing it today. And a lot of people are like, whoa, what the fuck? It's weird being in a position like that where like you do a thing and people show up, or, like, cause like, you know, Griff's like, I was thinking about how much painting goo we had last year and the camaraderie and the brotherhood and all that, and we don't have that much painting goo this year, and it makes me sad and all, and it's like, and then he doesn't show up, like, you know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm not like, I love Griff, I'm not shitting on him or anything, but it's just it just is how it is like, because I do that with, like, you can only consume so much content in a given day, week, month, or whatever, like, do you know what I mean? And like the amount of stuff I watch, you know, like, it's not like the only thing I fucking watch is Owen, like, you know. I would easily argue that out of all the content that I consume, Owen is like the best content, because it's not just entertaining, but it's also, you know, informative and thought-provoking and like one of the few, if not the only fucking source of entertainment out there right now that you can tune into, that is just like a dude just saying it how he believes it to be. So there's no like agenda and all this fucking shit. Like, you're not being like subverted or like grifted or manipulated. He's just being him, like, you know. We need more of that. Which is one of the reasons I do this, because I know you guys like it, where it's just like, oh, it's just Defender Bear, you know? It's just Alex. It's just my nigga doing his thing, you know? There's something comforting and like cathartic about that these days, where you're not being like sold a product, even though I have sold products on this on the stream. Two things are true at the same time. Anyway, right, I'm leaving. Right, much love. God bless. Be good. Be